Hey everyone, welcome back to Python 101. And today we're still on. Well, technically we're not still on. We're on week 1, part 2. And last week we just learned how to install Anaconda Navigator. And this week we're actually going to start learning. So before I start, I just want to say there's a Google Classroom, and here's the code. So you can note it down, or you can join after this class, and I post every live lesson. So that's it. So we're going to start with the basics. Just like math or language arts, Python programming has basics. Math starts with knowing numbers, and language starts with the alphabet. But Python programming starts with data types such as variables, strings, tuples, dictionaries, and so on. So variables. Variables are placeholders and can hold any kind of information from names to commands. To define a variable, you need to kind of like write the name of something, and then you do equal sign to whatever you want to call it. So variables can be changed. So you can say x equals 3, and then if you want to change that, you can make it x equals 4. And if you guys don't know how to open the Anaconda Navigator, you just go to search and type ANA, and then it should show up here as the best match since if you installed it. And then you just click it. Okay, so it's gonna pop up and out. It's gonna have this black square. And yeah, so if you guys are on, I don't know, say Windows, that's how you open it. If you're on Mac, you just go to terminal or search, or you don't go to terminal, you just go to search thing, and then you can just find the Anaconda Navigator. So here you should have this screen, and remember, you go to Jupyter Notebook, you launch it, and it's gonna give you it's gonna get you to another page here. So now you can close this, don't show again, quit. So now you could just press new Python 3. If, well, I don't do Python 2, so this is Python 3. Very, very interesting. Okay, okay, so I'm gonna rename it. All right, so like I said, variables. You can do x equals 1. So, and then it doesn't really return anything because you're just defining something and you're not telling it to do anything. Oh, and like this thing, for this, you can also do that. So like I did last time on our function. So x equals, and you can also redefine it. And if you look for x, it's gonna give you 2. But if you do, let me make a new function here. If you do x equals 1, no, you just write x, it's gonna give you 1. But now you redefine it, it's gonna give you 2. And then you can also do input. Oh, okay, and it's just gonna give you that. I'm gonna write my name, and that's kind of just that. And now if you print x, it's gonna give you that in a string format, which is the next thing we're gonna talk about. It's a string. So strings are really easily found like these. They can either be like this, or they can be like this. So either way, they're both a string. They're both strings. And you can do a lot with strings. So like I said, you can put strings into variables so that variables are the strings. And you can do a lot more, but right now you just need to know what they are. Next is integers. So integers are like whole numbers. So -1, 0, 1, 70, 1, 2, 3, 4, well, whatever. So, and then there's the int command. It just makes, so the int really is, you could do, so here as you can see, when I do the input, it returns the thing as a string format. But if I want to make this a number, or if I said, let's see, if I said, how old are you? And then here I just say 8, and I'm 8 years old. But here you can still see that this is a string. So what you can do is, if you put int and put quotation marks at the end, oh, not quotation marks, the parentheses at the end, you put 8. Here they took out the quotation, so now you know that this is purely an integer. And if you want to turn that into a string, which is already a string, you could just, instead you could just do str, but that wouldn't be very useful because it's already a string. So that's that. And you might be wondering, well, what about decimals? Decimals are actually floats. So if you say 0.1234556, that's a float. So float is spelled, so float is spelled like this. So that would be like 0.14. That would be a float. Oh, and by the way, this is a comment. So as you can see, this doesn't really show any error because this is a comment. So it just says this line doesn't do anything. So when you do really long programs and you don't know what this thing does, or you want someone else to know what this part of a function or program does, you could just put this and say, or let me write a new thing. So you could just say, this part does nothing because it's useless. And then if you want to enter, you can't really do that, or else you can't really press the regular enter button, or else it's just going to make a new line. If you want to press enter, you can either press run, or you could press shift enter. So press shift plus enter to execute a line. So does anyone have a question so far? If you do, just raise your hand. Okay, so no questions. Okay. All right. Next up, we have lists. So lists are kind of just like grocery lists. The most important thing to know is that they're surrounded by these things, which are also known as brackets. So a list can have either variables, strings, or integers. It can have even blank things. So just like a variable, a list is mutable, so it can be changed anytime, whenever, however you want. So what I mean is, so a list would be 1, 2, 3. That would be a list, and you can define X into a list. It doesn't just have to be X. You can call it Joe, or you can call it this, but oh, make sure there's no space in the name. So I'm just gonna call it X because it's easier. So X equals this, you call that, and it's gonna return that. Also, you can do this cool thing, which is 1. You can do high, you can do 0.1, you can do And if you put X, it's gonna give you that. So that's pretty helpful. And one thing you should know that a list is formatted in kind of like this way. So this is list item number 0. This is list item number 1, 2, 3, and so forth. So it's separated by commas. And make sure you start counting from 0 or else you're going to have some problems, like big time. And you can call the whichever one you want. So if I want to get high, this is 0, 1. So I do this and it just gets me high. So I know we're just supposed to talk about what the data types, but I'm just adding some extra sprinkles on a cake. Next up, we have tuples. So tuples are really, really like dictionaries, and they're not really like dictionaries. They have instead of brackets, they're surrounded by parentheses, and these tuples cannot be changed, so they're immutable. So they can contain anything, but you cannot change it. So here, as you can see, if I do this, x equals 1, or I could just do x, because x dot append 4. It's just, and then I do x, and then I call x, it's gonna, hold on, I didn't call it. I call x, it's gonna add 4 in the end. But if I do y equals, so I'm gonna make a tuple 1, 2, 3, and I do y dot append 5, it's gonna give me an error because tuple has no attribute append, so it cannot be changed. Oh, and by the way, append, so it's when you want to add something into a list, tuple, or the next thing we're going to talk about is dictionary. So dictionaries have curly brackets, and these are very useful for like scores and ages for each child. So I'm going to create a dictionary right now. So x equals, make sure you use curly brackets, and you could say, oh, I've been signed out. Hold on, what? Can you guys still see? Huh, it says I have been signed out. Okay, I'm just gonna sign in. Okay, this is weird. Anyway, are you guys still there? If you are, just raise your hand. Okay, so you guys are still there. Okay, so I thought that was, oh, I thought that. Anyway, back to the dictionary. So, I'm gonna be a bit interactive here. Let's see. The Chi, I think it's Chi. Uh, name a fruit.
Name a fruit. Name a fruit.
Name a fruit. Like maybe carrot.
Oh, carrot. I think carrot's a vegetable, but whatever. I'm just gonna go with carrot. Okay, so carrot. So this is gonna be like a grocery store thing, and I'm gonna do carrot is $2.99. Okay, and then I could just get X. It kind of is a list. Anyway, let's see what else. Quentin, name a fruit.
Apple.
Apple. Okay, see. Okay, apple. Apple is gonna be $4.99. And finally, Joshua, name a fruit.
Banana.
Banana. Okay, so banana. Ooh, that's some expensive bananas right there. And if you just call X, it's gonna give you carrot. It's $2.99. Apples are $4.99. And bananas are $9.99, which I totally wouldn't buy. All right. So now we're gonna. Do you guys have any questions so far? Just asking. No? Okay, so you guys are good. All right. So now let's create something. Oh, and last time I said I was gonna so here's how to save and checkpoint. You just press this thing and it's gonna save your work. And okay, so last time I said I was gonna explain what I did. So you guys, define. So this is how you define a function. You press DEF and then my game, or you could just name it anything. I'm gonna call it donkey. So my function is called donkey, or maybe even pizza. I'm gonna call it pizza. So my function is called pizza. So this won't be that anymore. And then, when you define a function, you have to do def space the name of your function, and then you have to do close, open close parentheses, and then you don't forget the semicolon. I'm not semicolon. Don't forget the colon, okay? Like, don't be one of those kids who forgets the colon. And then you can just do whatever you want here. So here what I did, I assign, or the x is the variable, and I did integer. So I made the input into an integer because it would be what's it called? It would be a string, but now I can turn it into an integer. Here I'm using an if statement. So if x, or this thing, is larger or equal to 10, and don't forget the semicolon, I keep saying semicolon, don't forget the colon, and then you print, haha, you are an adult, which is kind of not true. Just make it 18. Hold on, I want to make it 18. Okay, so, and then else. So what else means is if x is not greater than equal to 18. So if you're like 17, 16, 15, 1, -1, which is probably weird, then you would print you are a baby. So that's a kind of pretty simple but advanced thing. So I haven't tried this yet. Chi Chi, I think it is. How old are you?
7.
7. Okay, so you're 7. So Chi Chi is 7 years old, and you are a baby. Ha ha ha. You're a baby. But here you can also do y equals input. He, what 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 is your name? And then here you see I didn't put the int function or thing. I didn't put the int methodish because I want it to be a name, and a name is kind of like a string. So yeah. But right now, if it's an int, I want to make this into an integer because you can't really compare a string with an integer. So you have to make the string into an integer so you can compare it. You guys understand it? Do you guys understand? If there's any problems, just raise your hand. I'm always there. And then what we're gonna do now is we're gonna include the age in there. So I'm gonna say, haha, you are, and then I'm gonna do string concatenation, and then I'm gonna do str, which makes the thing into a string, x. And then I can do plus years old. So I only did this, and let's see if it works. So pizza, how old are you? I'm 23. What is your name? I didn't really do that. I'm just gonna do that. Haha, you are 23 years old. Okay, so as you can see, I added a space in here and I added a space in here. If I took out those spaces, then it would look really ugly. Let's see, 34. Haha, you are 34 years old. So that kind of looks ugly. So that's why you have to add this in here. Oh, no, this in here so it looks better. And if I just left this as an integer, it wouldn't work because, well, watch this. Well, never mind. It wouldn't work because here can only concatenate string, not integer. So here you can tell that this is an integer because I did this. So now what you need to do to fix it is just to add this, and you're good. All right, so this is a lot for the first thing, but I'm kind of explaining as I go. So if you really have any questions, just ask me or just raise your hand to ask me. All right, so now we have this really useless thing that's sticking around, which now we're going to use. So now I'm going to add haha y. I'm going to do plus y plus is. So now watch this. So I'm 123 years old. I'm Fang. So now you can see that haha, Fang is 123 years old. That means you are old. That means, okay, here, that means that person is old. Okay, so this should be better. So, haha, Fang is 234 years old. That means that person is old. So, okay, so you see, I didn't have to use the string thing here because the input is originally set as a string. So you don't really need to do this because it's kind of useless, you know? Okay, and then here you could just copy and paste this. And then you can just change is. That means that that person is a baby. Okay, so this should give you. Okay, so when your kernel gives you this, that means it's kind of like, I forgot to write something in the previous thing, so it kind of jams up. So now all you have to do is press kernel and interrupt or just restart and clear output, and you do this. Or if it now that it's starting, okay, so this happens a lot, and all you have to do is just try it again. And if it doesn't work, you just save it and you close it and you just reopen it. Happens all the time. Oops, let me just close this. You guys have any questions so far? Okay, so here, you can see that I forgot to answer here, so that's gonna kind of jam up the whole thing. So all you have to do is save it, close it, and reopen it. So now, how old are you? Let's see, Joshua, how old are you?
12.
Okay, he's 12. I'm assuming you're a he, okay? I'm just assuming. 12. What is your, okay, Joshua, I'm just gonna say Joshua. Oof, Joshua, that was, ooh, he's a baby. Okay, yeah, that's that. And do you guys understand the process of this thing? Like, do you understand everything that's here? I know it may look like a lot, but it's actually really simple because I type a lot. So, do you guys have any questions that you're not very clear about? Okay, so I'm just because okay, so that's kind of the end of this lesson, and if you enjoyed it, please tell other people about it. But oh, and here's one last thing that's really really important. So you so all you have to so you have to open a new tab, go to YouTube, search my name, which is the Show Mania, and subscribe. Okay, that would be very much appreciated. And thank you all so much for coming, and just review what we did today because the the code for the Google Classroom will be posted on the Google Classroom, which I will be sharing you right now. So just copy it down. Wait, if you didn't, so I will show you guys real quick which one it is, and you can just join the Google Classroom if you didn't already. So should you see that? So it's gonna be called Python 101, and here is the code. Okay, guys, here is the code. So remember to join, and I will be posting the lessons here every day. Okay, well, every week. So can I just see like you guys join right now? Just yeah, you guys just join. Open Google Classroom and join. I'm sorry to be really annoying, but I'm just gonna read the code out. So it's SPQ3WPR. Once again, S as in serpent, P as in poo poo, Q as in Quentin, 3 as in just number 3, W as in whale, P as in poo poo again, and R as in rattlesnake. Okay, so some guy named Captain Prodigy joined. That's good. Who's Captain Prodigy? Can I just know who it is? Oh, okay, so it's Joshy. Okay, so Josh. Okay, so Quentin joined. That's good. And now we're waiting on Chi Chi. No rush. I'm not rushing anyone. I'm just. Oh, and if you joined this class, that would be the end of class, and you're free to leave. And I'm gonna end the lesson right now. Okay. See you guys. Bye.